And welcome back to 101 East. With global stocks of wild bluefin tuna plummeting, it may be time to find an alternative way to cater to the world's growing appetite for the fish. And fish farming could be one way to supply the increasing demand. Here's Chan Tao Cho.
Tuna is my hobby and maybe my #1 girlfriend. That's how wonderful it is.
In love with the food culture of Japan is Katsumi Honda, a sushi master. This self-styled guru runs a popular restaurant in suburban Tokyo.
I can talk all day without stopping if it's about tuna. That's how much I like tuna. Work connected with tuna is everything for me. My life does not exist without tuna.
Some Japanese might have to get used to the idea of a life without tuna. Not only has Japan's southern bluefin tuna quota been cut, so too its Atlantic bluefin quota. Finding other ways to satisfy Japan's demand presents a golden opportunity. Amami, a remote island off the coast of Japan. It could be crucial to the country's future tuna supply. The sheltered and deep water harbors contains scores of tanks and cages where tuna caught at sea are being fattened for the market. Scientists at this fish farm run by Osaka's Kinki University believe they've achieved something special. Investing billions of yen, they claim to have pioneered and perfected the technology to breed bluefin tuna from hatch to hook. This massive fish has lived its entire life in captivity. Yoshio Okubo, the chief of this corporate venture, is naturally excited by the potential for profit.
Tuna demand is increasing now. The world will have sustainable and stable fish farms when it's based on the full cycle cultivation method. So I think it has the potential to make a profit commercially.
The promise of technology hasn't convinced everyone. Purists say that farmed tuna is inferior in taste and quality to wild tuna. Sushi masters like Katsumi Honda claim they would never sully their reputations by serving farmed tuna to their customers.
Tuna is a fish that swims around all year searching for good food. But the farm tuna's movements are limited inside the net. And the food makes a big difference with natural tuna.
Fish is central to Japan's cultural heritage. In fishing ports and villages around the country, it's traditional for communities to celebrate the fruits of the ocean. In future, it will be cause for celebration if Japan can sustain its newfound commitment to conservation.
And still with me are our guests, Duncan Leadbitter, Nicola Beynon and Masanori Miyahara. Miyahara-san, let me come to you. What is the future of farmed fish in Japan? What is government policy towards this approach?
We have very tight control over the fisheries of the bluefin tuna around Japan, and under those strict measures, I think we can continue a sustainable type of farming of tunas around Japan.
Is there a policy of giving government funds to farming as opposed to subsidizing the actual fishing fleets and giving that kind of government help?
We don't have any subsidies to increase fishing capacity or any type of the detrimental, any type of subsidy detrimental to the sustainability of fishery. We don't have that kind of subsidies.
Nicola Beynon, the farming of fish presumably is the way forward and would also solve the problems that you highlighted earlier on, which is the destruction of other ecosystems and other creatures as well.
There are advantages to farming in that you're not, it's not industrialised longline fishing, which does kill a number of other species incidentally, like sharks and seabirds and turtles. However, I think we all wish farming was the answer, but it does come with its own set of problems in the use of local habitat that has to be destroyed for the farms, local pollution issues, and also you've still got sustainability issues where you have to feed the tuna something. You've got to feed them tons and tons of small fish, and there's problems with the sustainability of that. So farming, I wish it was the answer, but I'm not so sure it will be. And for southern bluefin tuna, I don't know of any successful captive breeding of southern bluefin tuna yet. The Australian industry, they ostensibly farm tuna, but they don't. They catch it wild and then they drag the tuna into pens that they keep off the coast of southern Australia and fatten them up for export. It's not really captive breeding and not really farming in that sense. So I don't know if it can be done successfully with captive bred tuna.
Duncan.
And there's also humane issues for the tuna.
Sure. Duncan, what then are the alternatives if not farming? I mean, one of the puzzling questions about the whole fish industry is that in a world where resources are so scarce, here's one that we can actually reproduce without too much problem, and yet we're failing to do so.
Yeah, and I don't think the arguments are against either farming or wild harvest. They're about managing things better. And you know, farmed fish are not going to be the silver bullet, they're not going to be the panacea, and they're certainly not going to stop the wild harvest of the fish. But if you just look at the numbers game, we can't continue to feed people fish, a growing population, without farming coming in. But as Nicola said, a lot of the bluefin farming to date hasn't been true farming. It's been going out, it's a wild capture industry and a fattening operation. And until the life cycle is closed, until they're reared from eggs and grown up through small fish, then we're not going to see the real benefits of farming for that particular species.
But we said earlier on that bluefin is simply the sharp end of what is a much bigger problem. I mean, it's not just those fish, it's fish in many other species, isn't it?
Oh, very much so, but for a lot of other species of fish, like salmon, for example, there's a huge aquaculture industry worldwide, and the life cycle of that was cracked many years ago. If you look here in this part of the world, carp is grown in huge quantities in China, and it's been a well-domesticated fish for hundreds of years. For tuna, we're only just reaching the stage where scarcity is driving the investment into understanding how to grow these animals in a true farming operation.
Miyahara-san, from your perspective, you're saying that you think that the Japanese framework right now is an appropriate response. Do you think the long-term response, not only of Japan, but of the industrialized nations, is going to help us make sure that fish stocks will be enough to sustain the global population, or do you see future changes necessary?
We have very good management or conservation and management programs for the resources within Japanese EEZ, but our big appetite is causing some problems in other part of the world. So we need more tight control over the inflow of fish from the foreign market to Japan. That is why we are working on the trade-related measures, but the problem is the field of trade is a kind of the tricky part. We have to stick to the free trade principle, but at the same time we need tight control of the fish products. That is a problem we are facing, or difficulties we are facing, but we are working on very hard.
Nicola Beynon, as far as you're concerned, what are the key elements of government action that need to be put in place very soon?
I think as a matter of urgency, the international community needs to agree on a framework for putting in place marine protected areas on the high seas. There's negotiations going on at the UN at the present time, has been for a number of years, and Japan is one of a handful of countries that is resisting that sort of measure.
Miyahara-san, why are you against marine protected areas?
We are not against marine protected areas in general. For example, we have a lot of marine protected areas within Japanese EEZ too, but sometimes marine protected areas are used for that other purpose, that is a rejection of the human utilization at all. That is a concept we cannot accept.
Thank you all very much indeed for being with us today. That's all we have time for on this edition of 101 East. Until next time, goodbye.